Hello there, I'm Aleksi Peura and this is the second episode of my video blog series about creative writing called Let's Write. If you haven't seen the first episode, I recommend you check that out just to get the background for this one. A week ago I had very little to tell you about the story I'm currently working on. Hell, I didn't even tell you the working title I had for it since I had no working title for it. Now, however, I do have a working title, and though it's most likely not the final title, it's still something, you know. The title is A Son of Iapetos. Iapetos is a titan from Greek mythology, and like many Greek deities, had several sons and daughters. Two, perhaps most notable sons, were Prometheus, who stole the fire from Mount Olympus, and Atlas, who, after leading an uprising against the gods, was forced to carry the world on his shoulders. The idea behind the title is that the reader will have to decide which of the sons of Iapetos the main character is. I had my mind on Prometheus and Atlas, but as I said, there are others as well. If the reader wants to see the main character as Atlas, struggling with the weight of the world and his personal past, that reading would be correct. If the reader wants to see the main character as Prometheus, bringing enlightenment to mankind, that reading would also be just as correct. Thus far I have written 13,000 words spread around 35 pages, and if my plans are even remotely accurate, which they actually rarely are, the story might be around 70,000 words in total. I have usually had two optimistic estimations about the length of my manuscripts, so we'll have to see how everything turns out. With one particular manuscript, which is still unreleased as of this moment, I had thought it might run out all the way up to 150,000 words, but it ended at around 97,000 words, something like that. Don't get your mindset too strictly on a single outcome is what I'm saying. Today's topic is what should you write about and what should you not write about. Again, this is an issue I've had to spare a lot of time with recently as yesterday really. Yesterday I knew I would write about the prank the main character and his easily excitable friend conducted, and unlike most of their pranks, this one would have a serious backslash. I had a name for a minor character who would be the target of the prank, and the vague idea that it would all end in tears. What I ended up writing felt raw in several ways. Actually, I was cringing all the way through the writing of the scene. Let me tell you, I don't usually cringe at my own stories unless there are other shit, but that's another thing. Hell, you can't write two published horror novels while cringing about every horrible thing happening. Last night's scene, though, really got to me. The minor character who would suffer for the prank had been bullied for his arguably short lifespan of 12 years. He was never a cool kid, always an outcast, and without any friends, his social skills were less than stellar. He was an easy target for the prank. The idea of the prank for the main character's best friend Matthias was to find out if the bullied kid was a homo. Matthias, also 12 years old, goes to the bullied kid and tells him that there is a way to become cool. It might hurt for a short while, but eventually the kid would be the coolest kid of the whole goddamn school. What Matthias is offering is basically salvation for the bullied kid. Together they go to the bathroom, and the main character, who is the narrator as well, stays outside and guards the door. He hears soft moans and an occasional yelp from the bathroom. And this is where the cringing begins. I guarantee. When the bullied kid comes out of the bathroom, he has a dildo stuck in his anus. A tiny current of blood is flowing from his anus, sliding down the dildo and dropping to the ground. He goes to the middle of the playing ground, certain that this is his ticket out of bullying and to become cool. And then he shows everyone the, you know. What happens after that, I'll let you fill the gaps. But I guarantee it's certainly not pleasant. As I was writing this scene, I thought this is wrong. This is very, very wrong. I really shouldn't be writing this. My reaction was not due to the graphic nature of this particular scene. Help, you can't write horror novels and cringe at every tiny trickle of blood, no matter the origin. But the reaction came from the emotions of the bullied kid. In my head, the kid was just an unlucky child who had the worst of luck to get bullied at an early age. Now, when someone is finally offering help out of his torment, it turns out to be the cruelest prank he has ever been a subject to. A salvation from a personal hell is taken from him, and the dark depths of his misery seem even darker after a short glimmer of hope. Due to the graphic nature of the scene, the kid is thrown even deeper into his abyss. I felt that the scene was just too much. Way, way too much. I really shouldn't have written about it, I felt. But then again, I think you should be able to write about anything. If you want or need to tell a story in which basically a 12-year-old kid is basically raped by his peers, you should write that story. The important question is how you should do it. What is the context of the event? In what manner are you recalling it? And how are you treating the characters in it? In my example, if I had written the scene gloating, laughing about the bullied kid and not condemning the actions of the main character and his friend, this scene would be in extremely bad taste. Some might consider the scene still to be in extremely bad taste, but in my opinion, a story, no matter how graphic or horrific, should not be unwrittenable. The question whether the story is worth a read is a matter of writer's abilities and his classiness. In short, therefore, my advice to any other writers out there thinking whether they should or should not write a terrible scene like this is following. Do it, but do it well. Write the scene in a classy and sophisticated way. If you blow your chances writing a gripping scene and reduce it to nothing but cheap gross-outs, the readers will remember, and they will easily dismiss your writing on that basis. If you don't want to write scenes like this, you don't have to. No one is forcing you to write anything like this. But never, ever, ever think that you can't write shocking scenes because it would be indecent or whatever. Some shocking scenes certainly are indecent, no question about it. But when they shock, they also force the readers to face something they wouldn't in other circumstances face. And that, I think, is a good thing, because facing difference is the whole point of literature and art in general. Difference can be also quite unpleasant, and making the reader, squirm around is just another way to force him or her to face something new. Still, shocking scenes can be done badly or well, and it's important that writers and readers both understand this. If the shock is done for its own sake, it's done badly. Look at some Saw movies, for example. If it enhances and emphasizes the themes and the story itself, it's done well. For example, John Carpenter's The Thing is one perfect example of this. Shock done well. This is my guideline for writing shocking fictional stories. The guidelines for journalistic or other non-fictional writing are obviously different. And as I said in the first video, this is only my personal opinion on the matter. But anyway, that's it for tonight. I hope to see you next time around in 1 week. And till then, keep writing and keep being creative.